Hello, divine beings. Welcome. It's the apology, they, them pronouns. And today is going to be a Tales by Moonlight. I don't know why I have this stuck in my head, y'all. This particular sound. You might hear me saying it. It's a healing tone. It's a healing tone for the mind. My higher consciousness just brought that down. All right, well, um, as always, opening up the space, setting the intention that I am a clear channel of the highest truth, of the highest love, rooted in the highest good of all, for the healing, clarity, and guidance for the collective today, as well as for the opportunity of sharing story which resonates. Thank you, spiritual team, for helping me remain in energetic integrity, protecting this space, so only that which is the highest truth, the highest love, and the highest love may come through. As always, starting with 3 deep breaths, breathing in 5 from the nose, and then breathing out 8 from the mouth. Do 3 rounds of this breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the breathing out from the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In from the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out from the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then out from the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Beautiful. What is on my heart to share today? Inner teenager. Okay. So, y'all, since being back, I left my born family home when I was 17 because I needed to get out of Dodge. I was like, I cannot deal with this toxic, dysfunctional mess. And once I go to college, I'm out of here. And I thought that at the time, that in me leaving the environment and the circumstances that were a huge part of creating a lot of the trauma and the pain within me, that I was leaving it all behind, that I could heal. Fast forward 13 years, y'all. This has been a 13-year journey which has come to an end, resonating in complete healing. I am back where I started, in my born family's home. And I was angry. I was angry that for some reason I found my way back here. And this amount of time that I have been living here has been the longest amount of time that I've spent here since I was 17. And so everything happens for you, not to you. And so in my awakening and coming to a higher level of consciousness, I realized that this is exactly the part of the story that is necessary for me to come into the fullness of who I am. That the part of the story where confirmation, the hero leaves their home only to go through all the journeys and trials and tribulations and realize that that which they were seeking, that which they were running away from, was always in their home. And not home as in this place, but home as in the metaphorical belonging of oneself. And so that is what, if you ever read the book of The Alchemist, that is essentially the essence of the story, that the protagonist goes on a journey searching for treasure, only to discover that the treasure that they were seeking was in their original home location. And so I had to go back. And I was guided back to close this chapter once and for all. And one of the things that I was confronted with in coming back was my inner teenager. During my teenage years, I was heavily repressed, extremely repressed. I had left middle school, sexually abused during the entire summer by an older cousin of mine that I had no one to talk to about. And then I went right into high school with no one to talk to, y'all. I deeply stuffed down what happened to me and the hurt and the pain and confusion of what had happened to me, and went straight into a highly academic environment that I chose myself. I was at a high school that was also a community college and was taking high school and community colleges right along each other. So it was extremely intense. Extremely intense. And then at home, I was dealing with a family that was crumbling. My family has always been toxic and dysfunctional, TBH. And it was getting worse. It was getting much worse. One particular day, I remember being in my room and I hear a knock on the door. And I open the door. And there is my mother. And she's standing there and she says, can I share the room with you? I, at this point in time, had my own room for the first time in my life. I've always shared a room up until this point. It was like a window of like a month, honestly, where I had my own room, because in the previous home we lived in, when we thought we had upgraded and left the hood, we went to a middle class community, and everybody was able to get their own room but me, and I had to share a room with my little sister. I not only share a room, I had to share a bed with my little sister. And there were other beds in the house that were free, y'all. But they had me sharing a bed with other beds free. Because there was one guest room and no one ever stayed in that guest room. And so the idea was that, once we moved back to the hood and we experienced the foreclosure of our home, because this was during the housing crisis and the crash, that I would be able to get my own room in the old house. And so I was shocked. I was confused. And this was my mother, so I had to say yes. And so she comes in and she moves into my room. And it's a small room. And the both of us share that room the entirety of my high school. And not only do we share that room, we share the same bed the entirety of my high school. Imagine being a teenager, not having not only your personal space, but you don't even have your own bed. And you have to share it with your mother. And my mother was extremely judgmental and hypercritical. And so I had no privacy. I did not have the space to express. I did not have the space to explore myself physically, sexually. You're at an age where your body's growing and you have all these feelings. I couldn't explore that. Not with my mama in the same bed as me. So I was extremely constrained and contained. One particular night that she's in the bed sharing it with me, and I know it's because her and my father are at odds and things have gotten worse. They're crumbling. It's in the middle of the night. I don't know, maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden the door just shuts open, or rather gets pulled open. And my father's screaming. He's screaming, "Get out of my house. I want you out of my house." He yanks the covers off of us. He begins to take her out of the bed. "Get out of my house or I'll throw you out. Don't make me hit you." And I'm assessing. I'm shocked because I just got abruptly woken up. He ain't say nothing to me, but I got abruptly woken up. I'm scared. And I don't know what the fuck is going on? And so he starts to scream and starts to threaten and starts to shout, pulling her out of bed, saying she better go or he will put hands on her. It's so loud that my siblings in their room wake up. And they're in the hallways and I'm telling them to go back to sleep, go back to sleep. Of course, they're not going back to sleep. As my father is moving in and out of the room, screaming and shouting, throwing her things out into the hallway and then eventually into the street. And she's standing there and I'm watching, and the amount of hurt and pain, I could feel it. My gift of clairsentient was strong then, so I could feel it. But I'm in damage control mode, and I know that I have to control the damage. And so I tell my twin brother, I start to give commands. Get the little ones out. Put them in a room, make sure that they stay in that room so they don't see what's happening. So that they don't have these memories, is what I'm thinking. Because I knew that these memories would be implanted in their head, and I didn't want that for them. So I make sure he gets them out of the way, and I'm trying to calm my father down, and it's a mess, y'all. Because we live in the hood, I go outside to check on the bags, and guess what? The bags are gone. Quickness, y'all. They were gone with a quickness. There were valuables in that bag. My mother's Nigerian clothing. I'm sure the whole neighborhood heard what happened that night. I'm scared. I don't know what my father's going to do. I don't know what he's going to do. I know what he's capable of because he beat me. And so I'm trying to calm them down. Trying to calm him down, trying to tell my mother, trying to keep the peace in the midst of this chaos. A skill I learned because I was raised in a chaotic home. Eventually things calm down. She leaves that night. He gives her the ultimatum that she better leave. Find somewhere else to live. And so the outcome of that was that for every single night, for the rest of my high school, this happened in the 9th grade, my mother and I slept in a room. She didn't end up leaving. With the door locked. Caged. In our own imprisonment. I remember having to be in bed and having to pee, as one does in the middle of the night, and having to get up and unlock the door. Go pee and then quickly lock the door again. Her asking, are you sure the door locked? Are you sure the door is locked? And I having to say, yeah. Every single night. For years, I slept in a locked room. With my mother. And so my inner teenager had a lot that they were going through that they were not able to process. That they were not able to express. That I had to stuff down inside, compartmentalize to survive high school, to make it through. I didn't have therapy. I didn't have mental health support. I didn't have healing available to me, so I had to figure out, and the way I figured it out was not feeling. The anger, the frustration, the hurt, the pain of having to be subjected to that treatment, having to experience that level of confinement and repression It was not my choice. It was put upon me. And not having anyone to talk to about it. Because of embarrassment, because I didn't want people to look at my family a particular way, to say things. The Nigerian community is so judgmental. It's all about keeping up with the Jonases and looks. People are putting on and wearing and dressing up like things are okay, but in their house, it's hell. I know I wasn't the only family that was it, that was happening in. And so not only am I going through the aftermath of my parents' issues, and I would love to say this was it, but no, they were fighting all my high school years. The screaming, the fighting, the family meetings, where my father would try to triangulate us and make us flying monkeys to turn against my own mother. The not being able to talk to anyone about the abuse I had experienced, the experiencing. Being groomed by a medical doctor who's supposed to be a mentorship throughout my high school. Again, not having anyone to talk to about it because he was supposed to be someone to help us get into med school. And then on top of that, layered on with the intense academics of my high school experience, I kept myself busy because I couldn't feel what I was experiencing. And when you don't feel what you experience, that energy stays within you, becoming energy blockages, energy that is stagnant within your body, creating illness, mental illness, chronic illnesses. I was sick. I always had something going on with me in high school. The worst periods, where I'd throw up or feel like I was going to faint, or I'd be literally on the ground crying because of the pain. I would take a white sheet, go to the bathroom, play it down, and just lay there because it was the coolness of the bathroom tile floor with the fan on that helped me regulate my system. And I'd just be crying. And so I graduated high school with 2 associate's degrees, one in math and one in science and arts. I took every single math class at that community college. I was the overachiever. Not because I was trying to overachieve, but because I was trying to escape. And I did it and tried to do it through academics. Because that's what was told to me, the way to escape the pain. Every summer I had a fellowship or internship. I was doing internships at the University of California, San Francisco, watching open heart surgeries, doing research internships, taking community colleges in the summer. I always had something, and working on top of that in high school. And so I saw college as my escape. And so I tell people that when I got into 22 colleges and I got over $1 million of scholarships, I manifested that. And I worked my ass off for it. And I didn't do it for the accolades or the attention. I did it because I knew I needed to get out of my home environment. And so I did everything I needed to do, everything I could do to leave my home environment. And I told myself I was never coming back. Never coming back. And so I found myself back. And because everything happens for me, not to me, now that I see it from this higher perspective, that I came back to close the chapter, to be able to be here in this space is still toxic and dysfunctional, y'all. Ain't not much has changed. People have simmered down, but it's still toxic. And to be able to hold my own, to be able to take care of myself, to be able to nurture myself in the same walls that I experienced so much pain and hurt and confinement and repression, to be able to once express that which has not been expressed. It was a homecoming for my inner teenager that never got to experience the angst of teenage years, that had to be disciplined, that had to be mature, that had to be on top of it. I had to. There was no other option for me. There's always an option, but that was the option that I saw for myself. And so you can guess when coming back what happened. That inner teenager was like, we are going to throw it all to the winds. Fuck it all. Literally, the attitude was fuck it all. We're gonna smoke. We're gonna, whew. They didn't care, that part of me, because they had to care. And so for once, they didn't care. Started to listen to heavy metal and rock. But eventually, I had to, once that part of me expressed, we had to reel it back in, right? Because it wasn't healthy. It was a very unbalanced part that wasn't allowed to experience the angst. And so, as all time periods must come to an end, I've integrated that part back into myself. I've healed that part back into myself by really having to sit with what I experienced. Really having to go back again and to see how far I have actually come, how much I've actually healed. Because last year, I stayed in this house for about 3.5 weeks. And let me tell you, I was not in a good space. It's been a couple of months, and I feel like I've been able to come back to the rhythm of nurturing myself again, taking care of myself again, healing fully. Because on a quantum level, there was some energy of my inner teenager that existed in the past that had been blocked and repressed, that needed to be expressed and then brought back into harmony. That part of myself that needed a voice, that chose academic, school, science, math over what they really wanted to do. What they really wanted to do. Even then, y'all, with taking all that stuff, I was still in the drama department. I was still in the leadership government. I was doing the school and I was doing it all. I was that kid. My teacher said I was very intense. Still am. And also very not. I'm learning how to play again, to create in a way that honors what I've experienced. And so being back is a full circle moment that just shows me that I did it. Because when I left home, y'all, I went straight into mental health therapy. I did the psychotherapy. I saw the psychiatrist. I was loaded up with the drugs, and it was not helping. I could talk about what I experienced, but I was not healed. There's still a hole inside. I was still going through cycles of depression, deep depression and suicidality. I was imbalanced. And it's taken me 30, ooh. I just told you my age. It's taken 30 years for me to get here, to be healed. But in those 30 years, it took 13 years for me to hone and to master healing. And like I said, it's a remembering. It's here a remembering of how to heal. Because my soul is ancient. I am an advanced star seed. I am an alien. And in that, I realized when I said it happened for me, not to me, that this whole experience was a part of my training. It was a part of my training as a soul to be able to hold the frequencies of unconditional universal love, which is the healing frequency, the highest healing frequency, as well as peace. Peace is a very, very high healing frequency. Compassion and forgiveness. I was literally training my heart muscles and how to heal myself ancestrally and also my descendants. And because I've healed myself, my entire lineage and this bloodline has the capacity to never experience what I experienced. The cycles are broken. Karmic patterns broken. Generational curses broken. And so my inner child, my inner teenager, needed to be seen, needed to be expressed. Even what I've shared here is not even the full story, y'all. But it's what they wanted to share. Because not only was it healing what I experienced, it was healing my relationship with my mother. And learning that I have to love from afar. And I can love someone so unconditionally and be like, you aren't good for me. To be able to understand that, yeah, blood is thicker than water. But I am not attached to blood. That in this lifetime, I am called to make my own family, to create my own happy, unconditionally loving, beautiful, joyous, cool, quirky, unique family made up of individuals who I'm connected to from the soul. Soul fam. Individuals who I have had connections and lives with for ages. Not just in this lifetime. And the validity of that. And the honoring of that. That this family that I was born into isn't the family that I will call family. And the grief of that. Because I knew it. But to come back to it and to see what has changed and what largely has not. Solidify that knowing. So yes, that's the story I wanted to share. What story does your inner teenager wish to speak? What parts of you wish to be seen? Have you compartmentalized and stuffed away that are ready to be integrated? Let me know, because I would love to know. Yeah. Honestly, I'm grateful that I was guided back here. You know, when you follow your soul, when you follow your intuition, sometimes it takes you to places and you're just like, what is this? This is ghetto. Did I take a wrong turn somewhere? Because I wasn't expecting this. I didn't think I was going to go through all I went to come back to this, or to revisit this, or to be in this. Everything happens to you, not for you. And so I had to, again, see it from that higher perspective of the story that was being told, to be able to see how far I've actually come, and to be able to understand that coming back was exactly what I needed to be able to move forward. To take that piece of my energy that I had not yet processed and I had left back, and to come back into my wholeness, into the fullness of my being and power. I'll stop there. As always, take care of yourself, lovely human. Wherever, whenever you are, I don't take it for granted. I'm grateful for you. And we'll call it a night. Or day. Or morning. Or afternoon.